Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, the IU football team will be back in action this weekend following their week off.
And the IU volleyball team hosted a tournament at home before beginning conference play. This is Hoosier Sports Night. Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Michael Tilka.
And I'm Lydia Knoll. The IU football team is back in action this weekend after Hurricane Irma forced them to cancel their game against Florida International and take a bye week. Our Joe Cantor has the preview.
Neither the Hoosiers nor the Eagles were in action this past weekend. However, this might be the only similarity the two teams share as they enter Saturday's matchup with very different perspectives. Indiana comes in riding high after notching a significant win on the road at Virginia. Meanwhile, Georgia Southern comes in at 0-2 with losses to Auburn and New Hampshire. The Eagles' offense has been stagnant and at times non-existent this season. The Eagles didn't score a touchdown until 8 quarters into their season. On paper, Indiana has a significant advantage, but the biggest question for Hoosier fans is who will be taking the bulk of the snaps from under center. Quarterbacks Richard Lego and Peyton Ramsey have both seen significant playing time this season, and according to offensive coordinator Mike DeBoard and head coach Tom Allen, both guys will continue to see playing time going forward.
And those two guys are competing. You know, iron sharpens iron, make each other better every single day, and that's what we want from all positions, especially at a position like quarterback.
Because we don't care who gets the credit at all. It's simple. It's the whole philosophy that Coach Allen has instilled in us. Doesn't matter if Peyton plays 95 snaps and I come in for one play to take a knee and end the game and we win, cool. I'm just as happy. You can ask him.
Indiana will look to achieve back-to-back wins for the first time this season and the first time in the Tom Allen era. Reporting for IUS TV, I'm Joe Cantor.
The Hoosiers matchup with Georgia Southern will kick off at 3:30 on Saturday. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for updates.
Last weekend, the Indiana women's soccer team kicked off their Big Ten slate on the road in Michigan, where they took on both the Wolverines and the Spartans. Thursday night, Indiana faced off against Michigan State. The Hoosiers were able to get on the board early when midfielder Chandra Davidson scored in the 18th minute. Michigan State was unable to score an equalizer, and IU defeated the Spartans 1-0. The win was the first conference opening win for the program since 2013.
On Sunday afternoon, Indiana took on Michigan, a team they haven't beaten since 2008. The Wolverines took an early 2-0 lead, scoring their first goal in the 22nd minute, followed by another goal minutes later. The Hoosiers got on the board when Davidson scored her second goal of the weekend, but Indiana was held scoreless in the second half and lost 2-1 to end their 7-game road trip.
Next, the Hoosiers host rival Purdue at Bill Armstrong Stadium on Saturday night at 7:30.
The #1 ranked IU men's soccer team stayed unbeaten on Sunday as the Hoosiers went on the road for a Big Ten matchup against Northwestern. IU's highly talented defense was on full display once again as the team recorded its 5th shutout of the season. Freshman goalkeeper Trey Musey and the rest of the Hoosiers' defense have conceded just 2 goals so far this season, the fewest allowed in 7 games since 1993. Freshman Nason Toy and junior Corey Thomas each tallied a goal and an assist for the game to lead the Hoosiers to a 2-0 win. The Hoosiers will return to Bill Armstrong Stadium Friday night as they prepare for 4 straight games in Bloomington.
The IU field hockey team was riding a 4-game win streak heading into the start of Big Ten play last Friday. Our field hockey beat reporter Austin Render has a recap of the weekend's action.
Another busy weekend here for the field hockey team. They opened Big Ten play against number 9 Maryland, as well as some more action against the Ball State Cardinals.
The Hoosiers' Big Ten season began with a Friday contest with 9th-ranked Maryland. The Hoosiers and Terrapins played to a 0-0 draw in the first half, but Maryland jumped ahead with 2 early second-half goals. However, senior Elle Hempt for the Hoosiers scored her second goal of the season to trim the deficit to 2-1. However, within 20 seconds, Maryland answered and would hold on to the lead to win 3-1.
We're just inches away from finally breaking through. I think, again, our Wake win was huge, that we were able to get all we needed to win that game, and I think we had a lot of good opportunities in the circle today. We just didn't find ways to put them away. But to play up to this level, top 10, I think it's going to be soon before we beat some more ranked teams.
On Sunday, the Hoosiers took on in-state foe Ball State. The Cardinals went ahead first, but freshman Bente Buvalda scored her first goal of the season to send it to halftime at 1-1. Then in the second half, Maddie Latino hit another game winner, this time in the 65th minute, to get Indiana the 2-1 win and to improve to 5-3 on the season.
The Hoosiers will be on the road for 5 straight games, starting in Piscataway, New Jersey, as they take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Reporting for IUS TV, I'm Austin Render.
The Hoosiers' next home game will be October 8th as they host the Ohio Bobcats.
Last weekend, the IU volleyball team competed at home in the Hoosier Classic. IUS TV sports reporter Andrew Walker caught all of the weekend action.
The Hoosiers started off their weekend with a 3-0 win last Friday when they swept UNLV in the first game of the Hoosier Classic. The next day, the Hoosiers squared off against the Samford University Bulldogs. Indiana lost for the first time this season in a 5-set thriller, 3-2. The Hoosiers lost the first set against the Bulldogs, but then went on to win the next 2. In the fourth set, the Bulldogs came roaring back with 15 kills, winning the tiebreaker. The Hoosiers' record dropped to 10-1, its best start since 2010, when the squad went an impressive 12-0 to start the season. Indiana took on the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles in the second game of their doubleheader on Saturday. It was another 5-set thriller, but this time, the Hoosiers came out on top, 3-2. The Eagles took the first set, dominating the stat sheet, hitting .433 with 15 kills. The Hoosiers took the second set, but the Eagles came right back and took the third. Both teams matched extremely well in the fourth set, but the Hoosiers played better, hitting .485 with 18 kills. In the fifth and final set, the Hoosiers clipped the Eagles' wings for good, winning the set 15-10. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Andrew Walker.
Last night, the Hoosier volleyball team lost in 3 sets at home in their Big Ten opener against Illinois. The Hoosiers started off strong, opening the match with an ace from Samantha Fogg, but the Fighting Illini attack outpowered the Hoosiers, helping them win the first set 25-23, the second set 25-17, and the third set 25-15. Victoria Brizak had the team's highest number of assists on the night with 32. Kendall Bierman led the Hoosiers with 12 kills, and Megan Kors had the most digs with 9 for the match. The Hoosiers are now overall 11-2 on the season. The Hoosiers' next match is Saturday, September 23rd, when they'll host the Maryland Terrapins. If you haven't started racking up Crimson Guard reward points yet, this weekend is the perfect time to start. Log into the Crimson Guard app anytime you're at a home sporting event to receive points. These points can be used to win gift cards, food, and IU gear.
These are the events that you can get to this week to earn those points. When Hoosier Sports Night continues, we dive into last weekend's action on the links.
And it may be fall, but the IU softball team was out on the diamond. You are watching Hoosier Sports Night.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night. We have a surprise segment for you today. In studio with us are 3 special guests who are changing the way we consume sports.
With the constant improvement of technology and the ever-changing industry of sports, the viewer experience from home is inching closer and closer to the experience from the sidelines, or that of reality. One of the most recent technology breakthroughs is virtual reality. IU is lucky enough to have a team that understands this technology and is working through the new Mark Cuban Center to create a series of virtual reality sporting events. That brings me to introduce our guests today on the show. Welcome Griffin Park and Devin Good and Alex Van Halen. So you guys are working on this virtual reality program. Describe to me, what is exactly virtual reality?
Well, essentially, virtual reality is in a completely digital world that you step into once you put on a headset. You have controllers that are kind of similar to Wiimotes, and you stick those in your hands, and you can do pretty much anything with them in this digital world that we've created. So our games specifically are sports games. We have baseball and football. So when you step into this virtual world, you're placed on the 50-yard line in the place of a quarterback. And you get to throw the football at the receivers and have fun running plays and target practice and all kinds of stuff.
Amazing. How does something like that come to be? How do you create a virtual reality setting like that?
Well, from my side, I did all the 3D modeling for the game. So what I did was I went down to Memorial Stadium, took a whole bunch of reference pictures, measured a few things, did a little math, little cringy stuff. But then when I go into the computer, I use the software Maya to 3D model the entire stadium. And then when I'm done creating everything, I send it to Griffin and Alex, who then they make all the physics, they do all the game programming and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really amazing the amount of technology that you can get. I mean, anyone can make a great game these days, especially with virtual reality. A lot of these things are free and they're also third party. So people like Steam and Vive, that just allow us to use their toolkits and the technology that we have at the Cuban Center available to us, allow us with our game engine to sort of program in all the rules, whatever objects we want in the game and how people interact with those objects. And we also design the game so that there are goals and they can play and win and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So are these programs something that you knew about coming into college, or how did you learn of the programs?
Yeah, actually, well, the game design degree, which we're all in right now, majoring, it's about 2 or 3 years old right now. So seniors like us who actually came to IU before that, a lot of us were telecom majors, and there's a student running organization called Hoosier Games, and they allow anyone in, and basically you're able to make games with other people who also want to make games. And that way you learn different engines, you learn how to make these certain assets, you learn programming and things like that. And now that we have an actual course load that you can go through, an actual program, and graduate with a game design degree, a lot of these things are avenues and ways to game development and a career in that too.
Had any of you worked with virtual reality before starting this project?
Alex and I had a project that we worked on together that was a sort of small scale version of what we're kind of doing right now. What we've done essentially this past summer is leagues above what we've done in the past. So we learned quite a bit and put it to good use, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of people don't know about virtual reality, but people who are enthusiasts who are really taking it on right now and making games for it and stuff like that. There were development kits out through Oculus, and those were like before the consumers could actually touch them. So people who wanted to make experiences, people who wanted to make games had those, and I had one of those headsets, and it was I even built my own headset before that was a thing. So yeah, people who were like really into it, really want to get into it, they're going to do it regardless of what's out there and who's going to buy it. So that's what's really the momentum behind VR. A lot of that's pushing it. So.
Now you guys talked about working on it over the summer. How long in total have you been working on this IU project?
Well, since June 1st. So
okay,
about,
so just this summer.
3.5 months-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say the football game took us about 6 weeks because we were all just getting used to working in Unity and making the VR game. Plus, this was my first like really large-scale 3D model I'd ever done, so it definitely took me a little bit longer. But after that, pretty much everything transitioned into baseball, and it only took us about 3 weeks to create the baseball game.
Yeah.
Very impressive. So are you going to try to do that same sort of transition into other sports too?
Yeah, next step is recreating the basketball game, which I think we're going to be able to whip out pretty fast once we get moving on it. But it's just that little hump of getting into it that right now we're just trying to get our feet wet with the basketball game.
Right, because you're all full-time students too. So how are you able to balance working on this project in the Cuban Center and still doing your full course load?
Yeah, it's
So far, it's been hard.
it's tough right
We've
now.
had a pretty busy semester.
What's a
Yeah.
social life?
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
What's an hour? Yeah.
But,
no, what really happened is that like over the summer we had all of this time. Like we had nothing to do but the internship. So they pay us for a certain amount, but usually a lot of the times we would work over that just so we can get something good. A lot of it's it's on our backs to make good content because it's going to be on our portfolio, something you're going to show recruiters. If you really want to work in this industry, you're not just doing it to fill the minimum requirements of the internship, right? So now that school started up and we all have our courses going, we're having trouble finding time to meet up with each other. But we're going to work out something, I think, and
We've been meeting on Fridays.
yeah,
It's awful.
Fridays
Fun
at 4.
stuff.
Yeah. So.
Well, good. So looking down the road then, what is kind of the end goal of this game? Who's going to use it? What purposes is it going to serve? Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so kind of our target audience are sports fans and IU fans. So that just kind of goes hand in hand with our game because it's an IU sports game.
Yeah.
And we're looking for like pretty much the age group that's college age. And then also we've had a lot of success with older generations using it as well. It seems like anybody who's willing to step into it has enjoyed it. So we're trying to target a wide array of people that enjoy sports. And I think so far we've been able to accomplish that pretty well.
Now this might be a little bit of a tricky question, but how do you feel that the game is able to enhance these viewers' experience of a sporting event?
Yeah, well, one great way is that if you're not able to come to IU and actually try out throwing footballs on the field or actually seeing a game, it's nice that if you have a virtual reality headset, you can actually just throw that on. You're miles away, right? And you can go there and it almost feels like the real experience because your field of view is that of everything. It's like, real life when you're looking. And you can also like look around and move around. So it's for a lot of people, you get a sense of presence and like you're actually there. So it's just really nice that we can create that experience for people and they can have it as almost as if they're there. So yeah, it's a great part of it all.
That's awesome. It sounds super cool. Is that going to be available to the public to use?
Absolutely. We are currently packaging it for release. It should be out sometime soon. So if you have a HTC Vive and a computer that can run it, then you have access to it and it'll be free to download.
Well, very cool. We will definitely try to check it out and get our hands on that. Thank you guys for coming in. That's all I have for you, but we loved learning about VR and look forward to seeing your final project.
Definitely. Thank you, Lydia.
Yeah, no problem. Back to you, Michael.
Thanks, Lydia. The Indiana men's golf team continued their season this past weekend when they traveled to Chicago, Illinois to take part in the Olympia Fields Fighting Illini Invitational. The Hoosiers finished the weekend with a team score of 88-89, securing them in 14th place. Sophomore Brock Oxenrider led the way for the Hoosiers as he would shoot a .218 on the weekend. He tied for 30th place and now has 5 top 30 finishes in his young career. IU would also have golfers tie for 46th, 56th, 67th, and 71st. Indiana will have some time before they get back in action when they travel to Evanston, Illinois to take part in the Wyndon Memorial on October 8th and 9th.
The men's golf team wasn't the only team to hit the links over the weekend, as the women's team did so as well. They teed off their 2017 campaign on Sunday, competing in the Ptarmigan Ram Classic in Fort Collins, Colorado. IU shot an 881 for the tournament, finishing 6th place out of 15 teams. The Hoosiers were led by junior Aaron Harper, who shot .218 and tied for 11th in the individual competition, followed by her teammates with 17th, 39th, 41st, and 43rd place finishes. The Hoosiers will head out back west again for their next tournament, the Coeur d'Alene Resort Collegiate Invitational on Tuesday in Spokane, Washington.
Indiana softball was back in action as they opened up fall ball with a doubleheader at Grand Park in Westfield, Indiana. IU took the opener against Miami of Ohio by a score of 9-2, and in the second game of the doubleheader against Evansville, Gabby Jenkins and Rebecca Blitz led the way at the plate. Jenkins had a couple of hits while Blitz had a single. On the mound, redshirt sophomore Josie Wood had 7 strikeouts and allowed 6 hits in 6 innings of work. Their efforts were for naught, though, as the Hoosiers lost 2-0. Indiana will continue their fall ball slate on October 1st when they host IUPUI for a doubleheader at Andy Moore Field.
That will wrap up this week in Hoosier Sports. Don't forget to like our page, IUSTV Sports on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at IUSTV Sports. For Michael Tilka, I'm Lydia Knoll, and we'll see you next week.